Well, hello, I'm Dr. Julia Royston, and super excited because today and this week we're going to be celebrating Black Child Book Week. That's Black Child Book Week. And so I'm super excited, first off, to say that we will be meeting and going live tomorrow, February 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a group of authors. And so let's do a little lunch and learn. Let's talk about children's books. We love them. We're super excited about more and more children's books getting into the literary market. To date, of the children's books published in the US that we do have statistics on. There's a lot of traditionally published book that we do have information on. The self-published and some of the hybrid published books, children's books, we don't have as much information on, but the statistics that we have say that roughly 50% of all children's books, or the children's books with the data that we do have, are published with a Caucasian main character. 23 to 26%, about 25% on average, has the animal as the main character. And there is around 11%. It was 7% when I started, but it's 11% of children's books have an African American child as the main character. Now, the other minority groups, they're less. Biracial children, even less. Native American children, less. Spanish children, probably about 6 to 7%. Asian, probably 4 to 5. So, representation does matter, and children being gravitating to books that they really do want to read, that actually has a child that looks like them, is getting more and more, because I'm writing more and more and I'm publishing more and more. So there's more in the literary space and the literary market, especially in the self-published and independent author space. And so be on the lookout. So this week is our spotlight on Black Child Book Week, making sure that even in African American Black History Month, that we spotlight that. And this is the week for that. And so for those of you who've thought about writing, especially teachers, if you've thought about writing a book, if you've always wanted to, your grandchildren, I hear it all the time. My grandchildren, I want to do a book based on them so they can see themselves. I've taught for many years. I don't like the selection of books that are out there. And that was primarily my issue. As you well know, whether you're meeting me for the first time, I'm a retired educator. I'm an author and a publisher full-time now, but I'm a retired librarian. So I worked in corporate libraries, law, medical, university, all that good stuff, law firms, etc. But the last 22 years of my career, I was in school libraries, 10 years in high school and 12 years in elementary. So libraries, technology, all of that, the media space, the creative space. I have been in that space even before I could read. I love books, period. So, I see how God flowed that purpose to me. But the last 8 years, I have really poured on the children's books because I know that there's a gap in the market. I was at an event this past weekend, and tell me what's special about these books. And my husband heard her say that, and I was like, okay. So I just went with my first thought, of course, is representation, making sure that the children see themselves. And so with that being said, number one for me in helping people who are wanting to either write a children's book, or you thought about writing a children's book and you've had cute ideas, but you always want to be thinking one with the audience in mind. You're thinking one with the audience in mind. And the audience is not necessarily the adult buying the book as much as the child being attracted to the book. Now, one of the easiest things about writing a book, or especially a children's book that has an animal as the main character, you can give it personality, but the look is, it can be artistically look differently. But a giraffe is going to look like a giraffe. an elephant's going to look like an elephant. So even I went to a preschool one time, and Head Start preschool. These babies were 2 or 3 years old. I was going through the ABC. I have an ABC book, and it was literally it was a walrus. But I knew I don't know many babies know what a walrus is, and I said, "What is this?" And the baby couldn't have been more than 2, 3 years old. She yelled out, "Walrus!" And I said, "Oh, wait a minute, there's a genius among us." And so, therefore, attracting children to something that they recognize, something that they see. So, really drawing the child to the audience, to the book that makes sense, that the look is to them. Now, if you're a publisher like me, you want to make sure that there's a variety of looks, because and shades and hair types, and all African American children do not have two afro puffs. All African American children are not as brown as me. Some are light. We come in all shades and colors. We got all different hair textures. Biracial children are not all the same. They don't all have super curly blonde hair. They don't all have super curly black hair. Some of them have beautiful red hair. So we've got all different kinds of children that want to be seen. So think about the audience that you're wanting to attract. Even if it's an African American child, some of them are lighter than the others. And then is something on the cover that's going to attract, because the cover of the book is everything. It is really, really is everything. So number one, the audience. And then number two, you got to understand, are you wanting to appeal to a local, regional, or global reach? Are you wanting to appeal to things that only people in the West would do? Only people in a mountainous area would do? Now I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but you got to think, are you being local, regional, or global in your reach? And we'll talk a minute about what that actually looks like. Now, some things are local to your area, and you're wanting to teach people or show people or expose people, especially if it's a historical fiction or something of that nature. You want to spotlight your region, but there also need to be included, if it's something unique to your book that talks about something specific, then you also need to try to incorporate something that children everywhere identify with. Ice cream, whether you call it gelato or whatever you call it in your country, there's something should be incorporated in that book that would have a larger or a more global reach. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I first started writing was I only had the boy on the cover, or only the girl on the cover. And then the boy said, "Oh, well, that's a girl book." And then the girl said, "No, that's a boy book." And so therefore, thinking about the audience and thinking about whether I wanted it local, regional, or global made all the difference in the world. Okay, so that's the first thing, is really thinking about who you wrote it for. And believe you me, I travel a lot. And I see a lot of books, and I encourage a lot of authors, and I answer a lot of questions. But one of the things that I find is, even though it said children's book, it's really designed for the adults. You were an adult thinking about it for a child, but you wrote it from the angle, and you had the illustrator draw it from the perspective of an adult as opposed to a child. So if you don't know any children, go find some. Partner with the elementary school and go ask and go. They'll be happy to tell. "No, I don't like that." Yeah. Oh, they'll tell you straight up, straight cold. They will tell you. So that's my hint for those of you who thought about writing children's books. Now, if you got little nieces and nephews and grandbabies and all, ask them. They will be happy to tell you. They definitely will. Okay. Number one is the audience. Number two, are you thinking local, regional, or global? And then number three, and this is the one that even with AI or even with people, I know you have a budget when you're drawing. Now, if you're traditionally published, the traditional publisher will take care of that. If you're independently published with a publisher like myself, we'll advise you. We'll let you know. No, that won't fly. But if I'm really speaking to the person who is self-published, using your own eye, You're not, and some people are that I've seen self-published, beautiful images, gorgeous. Just I'm like, who is that illustrator? I would love, but they had a vision for it first. But then there's others who, yeah, who skimped on it, who didn't put the budget on the images, because the images is everything for a children's book. So my third piece of advice for you is don't go cheap on the images. Just don't do that at all. Don't go cheap on the images. I know you have a limited budget or whatever, but even if it's not expensive, you still need to be careful of the images, because you can, even whatever you paid for the images, you can go all out and it not be attractive to the thing you liked. So you got to understand it's 2026. So if you like that really airbrush watercolor mark, okay, that's fine. But do the children today still like that style? Do they still want that style? Are you just forcing that style? Don't skimp on, don't go cheap on the images. Think about that. And if you do, and if you like, I wonder why it's not selling, ask somebody. I'd be happy to help you. Just you reach out to me. It's scrolling across if you're watching the video, or whether you're watching the replay. Talkwithroyston.com. Let's have a consultation. I don't care if you self-publish. Let me, just give you a piece of advice and move forward freely. So that, because there's nothing disappointing to say, Julie's been saying for 18 years. Yep, I've been doing this 18 years. Write a book, and I got that book out there and it didn't sell, and it's my fault, and it's my fault, and it's my fault. They always blame it on me. Julia, but there are a few tweaks few things that you could have thought about and done differently. I don't have to publish you, but I want to make sure that whatever you put out in the literary market, that people are going to be drawn to and people are going to be attracted to. So number one, write and think about the audience. And the audience is the child. For those of you who are joining me, this is Black Child Book Week. I'm Dr. Julia Royston, and I'm trying to give you some tips and encourage you and get you ready. If you thought about writing a children's book, you had a children's book in mind, if you have a major topic such as finance and you want to attract younger as much as possible, you got to think about and write toward the audience and draw, and the vision of your book be toward the audience, not the adult, to the child. Okay. Is it local or regional or are you looking at a global reach? Okay. And if you don't know the difference, let me know. Let's talk about it. Don't go cheap on the images. I don't, maybe politically correct if I'd have said budgeting for images. I got that, but just don't go cheap on images. That's the best way I can say it. The other thing too is that number 4 is, will the book stand alone or is teaching required? Will the book stand alone or teaching required? Now, the reason why I say that, even adult books are like this too. People are like, oh, I want to put this book out. Here it is, read it. No, some things require prep beforehand. Some, even when we're teaching in the classroom, there are certain prerequisites that have to happen even before we relay a new topic or a new idea, because it's not necessarily self-explanatory. It didn't all of a sudden jump out at you. When I read to children, do read-ins, which I did a lot this month, February, in schools, I have them look at the cover. What do you think the book is about? And they read the title, they look at the picture, and most of the time they get it pretty good. And that's what I want. I want you to look at the cover. I want you to look at the title and be able to almost kind of start telling me the story. Now, if the cover and the title is not jumping out at you at all, and it's total brand confusion, book confusion, then we have to rethink. We have to redetermine it. So it could be that it needs to be taught ahead of time. Have you ever thought about we need to introduce it a certain way, or will it stand alone? I have a book, 1, 2, 3, count with me. Well, it's got 1, 2, 3 on the cover, so that's going to do something with math. And it's talking about counting. So those are 2 huge clues, and it's got all numbers on the cover, all different kind of children on the cover too as well. So that's like a threefold clues of what's going to happen in the book. Now, when you open it, it's more of an activity book, and it has activities where you can work on math in the back. But on the cover, you kind of know what you're working with. ABC book, same thing. You're gonna be talking about letters we write and speak and whatever. So it does it stand alone, or is it teachable required? And you need to really get you some beta readers, beta reviewer, coach. Let's have a conversation or something, so that you don't get too involved in it. And then there you go, and you're like, people didn't get it. Yeah, you got it because you were the author. But when you write from the audience perspective, you got to make sure they get it and not just you get it. And then it also, when we're talking about the standalone or teachable, you got to make sure that the things that are happening or the idea or the concept can be relatable in modern format, rather than that's something we used to say a long time ago and it was cute, but the cute people like, no. Okay, so prime example. I used to what was the title of it? Was a book that I wanted, Go Hard in the Paint. And I was like, yeah, you're gonna go hard in the paint, but now I found out in 2025 and 2026, I had to eliminate that whole topic, because it has a whole nother, and you can Google it and you can really read it. Go hard in the paint to me was a sports term. Now it's an inappropriate term, not appropriate for kids and all that. I'm like, really? Is that what that means? So there's certain things that might be fine 1980s, 1990s, but 2026 has taken on a whole nother societal term. So my book ended up being Mindset, Moves, and Momentum, as opposed to, I had a whole thing ready, Go Hard in the Paint, even had gotten the domain. But when I looked at it, it was more of a very sexual, inappropriate term, as opposed to a business term like, yeah, we're going to go hard in the paint. We're going to do this. No, that's not what that means. That's not, what it means now in 2026. So therefore, is it going to require teaching, or will it stand alone? So you got to make sure of those types of things. So, when you're considering doing a children's book, when you're considering doing any kind of book, because I've seen people like, no, that's I had somebody else. Oh no, it had children on the cover, and then it was a very, very adult book on the inside. I was like, oh, sweetie, you got to change that cover. That's misleading. Or is that what you're really up to? I mean, as they say, there are people in jail who have the thought you're thinking. And so therefore, you have to make sure that don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, no, I judge a book by the cover all the time. If the cover is misrepresenting something that's not on the inside, then I get very, very concerned about that, both ways, good or bad. And so therefore, does it stand alone? Will the book stand alone? Or is there teaching required? And sometimes the gifted, the teen edition, I do want to teach. I do want to say what it's about. Even though the scripture is not located in the gifted, is really for children being gifted. There's gifted programs in academia all the time. Now, my intent is to go from a spiritual standpoint that says a man's gift make room for him. That's the basis. It may not be in the book anywhere around there, because I have had that book bought and purchased in bulk for schools, but that was the intent. As they say, even though the words ain't in there, that was the intent and the spirit that I sent it within. Because I want to make sure that children know everywhere there's a gift down inside of you, love. You can do anything, be anything. It came from up above. You can do, be, and have anything and be what God called you to be. So is it standalone? Is the teaching required? And then number 5, especially if it's hopefully it's a relationship builder. It should be a relationship builder. So it's a book that can possibly build relationships. Is it going to build relationship in the faith-based community? Is it going to be build relationships just in the general public? Because there's some faith-based children's books that you can sell just in the general public. If you're attracted to it, you do. If you're not, if you don't believe in that faith and you don't go with that belief system, then you continue to move forward. But hopefully, we're relationship building, not just on a religious state, but also on a personal state, that we're creating content that is going to build relationships between not only what the topic is, but also with the author themselves, that it's long term. So there's some events that I go to that attract people, and I know if I go back to that event the next year, I have to have something new. And I did the same exact thing already this year. The person buys 4 or 5 books. What you got new? I put all the new stuff up front, and they buy all the new stuff because it's now been a relationship builder. They know what to expect when they read my books. They know what to expect, not only my adult books, but especially my children's books, because I want them to trust who the author is, that I'm not going to put nothing inappropriate in there, that I'm going to be building confidence. I'm going to be building self-esteem. I'm going to be building self-discovery within my books, right? Even I've had the children even tell me at school when I was in Atlanta, I'm headed back there in March next month. And they're like, all your books are, Miss Julia, your stuff is real positive. I said, you got it, baby. That's the relationship builder. Now, if you're really wanting to align yourself in the academic space, in the school space, then it needs to be a content connector. If it is something that talks about biology or mammals or science or something, then you need to incorporate that in your children's book, that it's a content connector. So it makes it easier. Add questions, because that'll make it easier for the teacher to bring it in so that you can clearly see where that would align in an academic area. You may even want to include, and this is a big, huge hint, you may even want to include a content area that it can be aligned to, if you're really serious about selling to schools and things of that nature. So it should be a relationship builder between you and the consumer, but also a content connector if it is something that aligns with, even if it's behavioral, how to treat each other, not fight against bullying, fight against poor self-esteem, fight against teasing, fight against let's all get along. One of those things that can be even a behavioral builder and content connector. You're different. You got purple hair, I got green hair. You got you like pink shoes, I like purple shoes, whatever. To be able to build the relationship and content connector within your school. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense to you. If you're interested in writing a children's book, let's have a conversation. These are 5 tips, big ideas that I really wanted to convey, because not only in celebration of Black Child Book Week, but I know people all the time who are wanting to write children's books for all children. And I want them to make sure that when they roll it out and it doesn't sell well, or it doesn't make a connection well, that you really think about, and even if you've written it, revisit it. That's what curating is called. Having a book that goes for a specific audience as opposed to another audience. You might have had one child in mind, but when you relook at it, take these 5 things and relook at it again, you see something totally different. When I travel, I try to keep in mind where I'm going and what child I'm going to be, what event. Is it going to be like the general public and everybody's going to be there? Or is there a specific type of child, interest of a child? What part of the country am I in? It's really difficult sometimes, because I have 2 books that really talk about Alaska and snow and all of that. And the kids in the South, they have a struggle with that. They've been seeing most snow recently, but in the past they had a hard time with that. So therefore, it's more teachable as opposed to gravitating really quickly. Let's learn about a new environment. Let's learn about a new ecosystem. Let's learn about bears and ducks and streams and mountains. And even though you don't see them, Let's learn about that. That's where the standalone, or is it teaching required? Okay. I hope that helps you. Now, join me tomorrow night, Tuesday night, February 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook. We'll be on YouTube as well. And we're going to be talking with 6 other authors about their children's books and encouraging that too as well. If you are an author and you're like, My promotion game is not doing so hot, I have a class coming up, Social Media for Authors, on February 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To register, go to bookbusinessboss.com. Also, if you're in the Montgomery, Alabama, Deep South, Mobile, Huntsville, Birmingham, and you're an author of a book, period. It doesn't have to necessarily be a children's book. The Montgomery Book Festival and Writing Expo. And if you're interested, you just like, I want to be in a room with authors and people who write. We've got classes available, all that good stuff. We'll be going live in the first week of March, talking about what we're going to be presenting. It's free admission. Did you hear me say free? It's free to get in, free admission right downtown at the Armory Learning Center on March 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There'll be all types of authors there, right there downtown in Montgomery, Alabama. It is free to get in. Come bring your notebooks, bring your ideas, bring your thoughts, bring your questions, all that good stuff. Meet us in Montgomery, Alabama on March 14th. Now, if you have a question, talkwithroyston.com. You can always visit there. Go to JuliaRoystonStore.com as well. All my online stores and everything is at JuliaAKRoyston.com. That's where I also already have a instant access course. That's what they call it now in 2026. We used to say self-study or on-demand study. It's now called instant access course. That's what it's called. See, I told you, times change. It's 2026. That's the new word for it. But I've already created a Create Great Kids Books course. It's already there at JuliaRoystonStore.com. So, I got plenty of information for you. I'm not gatekeeping. It's all there and all there available for you. Let's see who's joined me today. Hey, Erica, how are you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the current trends, definitely. Should the beta readers be children? Yeah, I would. Even if you don't have the text, because some children can't read, but honey, they can tell a story with the pictures. So that's what I would do. I would really grab a group of children. I mean, if you go to church, go get the Sunday school kids, see what pictures are out there that you're interested in drawing. What would they say if they actually saw it? Does it make sense to them? Are they attracted? Do they like it? I'm telling you, creating children's books, especially if you're paying an illustrator, it costs. It's not cheap. And so therefore, you do not want to be running on a line and a space that will not be attracted to a child much later. Hey, Jen, how are you? Hey, Miss Ramona Gaines, how are you, love? Awesome. I'm so glad you're good. I wish I could have signed up for the event in the Montgomery. Oh, we've been promoting for a couple months. You still got time to jump on in. If you want to come on down, you got time to jump in. Yeah, pictures are a great help. Now, there are sometimes, that's a great point, Ms. Gaines. There are some times where people they utilize the images for basis, not the actual child's picture, but use their own grandchildren. I want to base this on my grandbabies. I've had that recently too, or I wanted to base the images of the character on my children, and therefore the illustrator has the actual pictures of the child to base it on. And now sometimes there are, additional children in the background or on the playground. And then we go to Google and say, what do we want the child to look like? What do we want the child the outfits or what they want them to base it on? We want them with this curly hair. We want them, especially when you're dealing with when you want representation, all different types of children. And you're right. The pictures are a great help. It helps define. And that's another thing, because we didn't really get on the full business side, and not in this setting, but when you're really talking about the business of creating children's books, now I know there's a lot that can be done inexpensively using AI images, etc. But when you're wanting to really customize your book, your children's book, and really want to base it on either actual children or more modern children, then you have to really be as specific as possible. Because making 4, 5, 10 changes, I change my mind. That can be very irritating for your illustrator, and that could be, that could be just really a little late and a major, major issue. Yeah, good, good, great information. Nope, it is not too late. Hold on, I thought I had that already there. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me put in the. Nope, it is not too late. And then I changed the. So if you want to register for the Montgomery Book Festival and Writing Expo, it's March 14th, and go to VernetCnettles.com. That's the registration that's there. Vernet C Nettles, VERNET, and another C in the middle, Nettles, NETTLES. All righty. Any other questions? Oh, thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm proud of you too for all that you do to, well, especially in the sensory space. That is definitely one of the representation areas that we really, really need out there as much as possible. Because there are times where I attend events, etc., and it's not necessarily a race thing, but it's representation of autism, representation of people that are physically handicapped in wheelchairs, and so I'm moving more toward that space too as well, so that everybody can see themselves and not just I know for a great length of time, yes ma'am, that's it. And for a great length of time, we have focused on Black children, Spanish children, can they see themselves? But then there's another whole group of children, biracial, and those that are physically challenged. I have one that I've done for a gentleman where the child is hearing impaired, and then there's sign language. I'm getting ready to publish another one that spotlights on hearing impaired. So there is a lot of representation, a lot of audiences that we really need to spotlight, but make sure that it aligns and it makes sense and that it is not offensive in any way. Because I've seen some things that were cute in 1980, but in 2026, it's no longer cute. It's more offensive than anything else. Okay. So you don't want to do that at all. You want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there is attractive, because the ability for children to connect with books is more important now than ever. And I say that, and this is my last statistics I've been keeping up with. When you go to school districts, they normally have been, in their local one especially, they post distinguished, the reading, math, and all that. And I haven't been seeing distinguished and proficient, meaning for those of you who are not in the educational space, proficient means you're on grade level. Distinguished means you're advanced, and that still distinguished, that's advanced, AP, and proficient is still only about 30%. So there means there's another 70% that are not proficient, that are not even on grade level. And that is, that's that's not, oh, we only did the Black children. No, that's everybody. So therefore it's not necessarily a race problem. It's not necessarily even a poverty problem. It's not an economic problem. It's an interest problem. And so therefore, some of the classics, yes, should be studied. Absolutely. But then there has to be some way to attract you for those things that are interesting children are interested in 2026. Yes, historically, yeah, the classics, yeah, we should know them. Yeah, we should read them. We should be exposed to them. But to create a lifelong reader and a professional reader to the next level, we got to mix it. We're gonna have to pour some things that are attractive, and we'll make those transitions into the classics and the yay. But everybody's not going to be drawn to the classics. Everybody's not going to be drawn to the things that have been around for 100 plus years. And yes, academically, we should know that they exist. But moving forward, this is a different day and these are different children. It's a different time. If we're going to create lifelong readers, we've got to think this. Yeah. Um, Absolutely. So, Jen Spalding is a retired educator, just like I am, and right for middle grades. Absolutely. That is the next big gap that we have. So, children's books for the little ones, they doing really well. But the middle grades, young adult, not so much. So we need more of that too as well. Now, and not just the horror kind. And y'all know what I mean. So I'm yeah, I exactly. So I encourage you, Jen, to study up on that and take it to that next level because that's a gap. The big book fair does not sell to middle school and high schoolers at all. So that's one of the main reasons why there's a huge gap in that market. It's out there. There are people who are in the young adult and middle grade space, but we need more of it for everybody, period, because they don't really promote to that area. I trust that this has been helpful. If you need me, you know how to find me. JuliaAKRoyston.com is where all my sites and online stores are. I'll have more about my websites and stores being relaunched in March. If you need a conversation, let's have one. Talkwithroyston.com if you're really ready to move forward. I highly suggest that you find a children's book author to support. If you don't, I don't have children. I'm like, well, then buy it and donate it. And buy it and donate it. That's what I seek to do. I sell books, but I also find there are some mobile bookstores out there that, and then I just recently met someone who that's a part of her nonprofit. She goes to low income areas where children do not have the opportunity to purchase and have books permanently in their houses and just gives them away. So I'm going to be partnering with or other nonprofits. I do have a nonprofit. If you want to support that in any way, go to bkroystonfoundation.org. Yeah, I'm full of information today, but reach out to me. Reach out to me and let's have a conversation so that we can move forward and pour into the next generation. Hopefully way more that was poured into us. I'm Dr. Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the Book Business Boss Consulting, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. Let's celebrate Black Child Book Week. Be blessed until next time. Bye-bye.